Welcome to Cricket World TV, the latest hotspot with me, John Pennington in England, and Chetan Narula out in Bangladesh. Hello, Chetan.
Hello, John, and welcome to the viewers of Hotspot from what is the business end of the World T20 here in Dhaka, and obviously the last day of competition in Chittagong.
Absolutely right, and we've seen today England collapsing to be all out for 88, beaten by the Netherlands by 45 runs, and Sri Lanka in a little bit of trouble as well. But we're going to sort of go back a couple of days to review the games that we haven't done so far. We must start with the last game England were involved in, completely different affair, nearly 400 runs scored. England going down by just 3 runs to South Africa. That win, of course, putting South Africa into the semi-finals and knocking England out. What did you make of that one, Chetan?
Well, quite a close game, that one as well. I think England were very surprising in the fact that they have, not counting today, not counting what's happened today, but till today they were pretty much in contention with what was happening, and just surprising the way they went down to Netherlands today. And 2 days ago, like I was just saying, 2 days ago they were in contention for a semi spot. They were chasing down 180, 190 odd. So it was a tough chase. It was always going to be a tough chase against a bowling lineup that was perhaps tougher. There wasn't, I mean, yes, the Sri Lanka game there was a lot of dew around, but there was a lesser dew in this particular game. But even then, I think they were chasing a very, very tall score, and they were too dependent on Alex Hales, I think, or just a few batsmen, Ewan Morgan, Lam, Alex Hales. I think they were dependent on just 3 or 4 batsmen to carry them through. But it doesn't happen with that regularity in T20 cricket. I mean, it can happen in ODI cricket, that a batsman scores back-to-back hundreds and takes through. In T20, the chance goes down a little, couple of notches, because you have to be attacking all the time. You have to take those risks, and sometimes those risks don't pay off, and that is what exactly happened. They were banking on just a few batsmen, quite a lot on a few batsmen, and then it just unraveled a bit. Obviously, South Africa, they started slow. They were very mixed up. A.B. de Villiers played a magnificent hand that day. He's like, I mean, you can just say what's happened with A.B. de Villiers is South Africa's story. He's gradually come into his own as the tournament has progressed. He's sharing the captaincy burden with Faf du Plessis. So, yeah, I mean, South Africa have just started gathering some momentum. It's interesting that they will be playing India, who are the #1 team in the tournament at the moment. They have won 4 out of 4. No other team boasts of that particular record, which is also a surprise. But having said that, it's going to be in Dhaka, and it's going to be a cracker of a game. So South Africa building that momentum. Nobody anticipated them to reach the semis. I mean, I don't think they were any of our picks to reach the semis. We were thinking New Zealand, Sri Lanka will somehow still make it, but South Africa's win made sure that only 1 out of New Zealand and Sri Lanka will go through. So we've had some interesting couple of days here in the World T20.
Absolutely. I mean, de Villiers was absolutely stunning. That 69 and 28 balls as captain when his team were under pressure. A real mark of the quality player he is. Just a word on England's innings. For me, the key, or one of the key moments, I think the 14th over, Joss Bulley had a couple of boundaries. I just thought, he's just beginning to get into some form. Next over, I mean, that was a huge over for England. Next over, bigger over for South Africa, because he got out reverse sweeping. After that, to be honest, losing by 3 runs flattered England a little bit, because when they needed 20 to win, Bresnan smacked a few falls when it was game over really. So that was for me a massive turning point. 14th and 15th overs of England's innings were just, up until that point we probably thought England weren't going to get there. I think after that had happened and Butt was out, they definitely weren't going to get there. But all credit to South Africa. And again, I thought de Villiers led the team superbly in the field. They really did seem very, very pumped up for that game as well. But why wouldn't you be, I suppose? But it really did sort of look very apparent. On to Sunday's games then, Chetan. We had Pakistan against Bangladesh, the first of 2 games which were almost mismatches in the end. Bangladesh, I think it's 40 games in a row now in all formats that they haven't beaten Pakistan. And although I think they improved their performance somewhat, they didn't really look close to beating them on this occasion. And Ahmad Shehzad becoming the first man to score a century for Pakistan. A great day for him.
I don't agree, John, that they have improved. I think T20 is not a format where you can judge the improvement of a team, because, I mean, you're chasing 150, you get out for 110. You're chasing 180, you get out for 120. You're chasing 190, you get out 130. That's not really improvement. I mean, the real parameter for improvement, if you really have to put it, you have to look at the other group where the other minnow, in Netherlands, who lost so dramatically. I mean, it was what was the word? A slow train wreck. They lost so dramatically against Sri Lanka, and look at what they have done since. They have pushed New Zealand, not very close, but they pushed them. They didn't make it easy for them. New Zealand had to earn that victory. They pushed South Africa. They pushed South Africa really close. That would have been a major upset. And they've been threatening since then. And look at what they have done today, what they've done to England today. So that's improvement. And you're talking about an associate nation which beat Ireland. I mean, what would have Ireland done? I mean, that would have been really, really interesting. But they beat Ireland, and we remember that this is a team that's also beaten England prior in 2009. So that's how you judge improvement. Bangladesh at the moment, it's very disappointing that the sort of cricket, the brand of cricket that Bangladesh is playing, and not just against Pakistan, against all teams, they have been a massive, massive disappointment in this particular tournament. Somebody like a Nepal would have been a bit more inspired, a bit more encouraging. The day they lost to Hong Kong but narrowly made it, I was thinking, stiff spirit of the tournament will go if Bangladesh do not make the Super 10 stage. I think I might have been wrong because the Bangladeshi fans actually love cricket. So yes, it would have been disappointing. I mean, they really go silent, really pin drop silent when Bangladesh lose or are in the process of losing, when wickets fall and everything. But they still cheer other teams. They enjoy cricket. So we could have done with the Nepal instead of a Nepal team or any other team, who would have shown some fighting spirit. Bangladesh have just been very, very restless, and it just makes me wonder. I mean, the sort of opportunities that have been given to Bangladesh over the last 10 to 15 years. What if those sort of opportunities were given to the likes of Netherlands or Ireland? Let us give them those opportunities for the next 10 to 15 years, and let's develop two more forces in world cricket. Instead, we're just going the wrong way, and Bangladesh, I think, are a symbol of going that wrong way, and it's just so very disappointing.
Fair enough. No, I think you make a valid point there, Chetan. I suppose I was maybe guilty there, just sort of looking at the scores, and a 50-run defeat is slightly better than a 73-run defeat. But in the grand scheme of things, I think you're quite right to pull me up there and say, actually, in terms of performance, and you're there, you're watching them a lot closer than I'm able to. You're spot on. They're not really showing enough improvement, and it's a spot on with the Netherlands. They really have genuinely showed improvement over the tournament. But got to give some credit to Pakistan though, because you don't just turn up and score a 2020 international century for fun. And it was a game they had to win, so there couldn't have been any slip-ups from their side.
Absolutely, I think the one thing about, Australia turned up and they already knew that the result was, a foregone conclusion, and George Bailey after the match, he said that they did not expect any miracles, that Bangladesh would beat Pakistan. I mean, if Netherlands were in this group, he would have probably expected Netherlands to beat Pakistan. Then he would have probably expected a miracle, but not from Bangladesh, which is a bit disappointing, like I said. When the thing is, Pakistan last played a week ago when they beat Australia. And the big thing was, will the right Pakistan team turn up? And they actually did, to their credit. I mean, and why Ahmed Shahzad's century was very good was because if you look at the top order of batsmen around him, until Shoaib Malik came out to bat, you look at Kamran Akmal, Mohammad Hafiz, Umar Akmal, they all got out for very, very cheap scores. I think they all got out for single-digit scores. And it was just Shoaib Malik who, put up some runs with him. But even when the others were falling out for just single-digit scores, Ahmed Shahzad was scoring at such a pace that Pakistan ended up getting such a high total. So I think that was real credit to him for a century. Of course, becoming the first batsman from your country to score a century in that particular format will always be remembered. So all congratulations to him. And now I think Pakistan wanted to win this, and I wanted to win this in a very convincing manner, because you're now facing the West Indies in a do-or-die situation tomorrow, and it's going to be a cracker of a match, I think, because the West Indies are the West Indies and Pakistan is Pakistan. So really, really, rubbing my hands in glee. What a match we have in store for us.
Yeah, that absolutely is going to be a super. Well, we hope it's going to be a super game. I think we had a few sort of maybe higher thoughts of the game going on at the moment between Sri Lanka and New Zealand. That may well turn out to be a thriller. We're about halfway through, but hasn't been one for the run scorers so far. Moving on to the next game, Chetan, Australia against India. India again, very very impressive. They did sort of shuffle things up a little bit. Yuvraj up the order, responded with 60, but again the bowling, got to really start with that. Bowling Australia, who so many predicted going into this tournament would do very well, and again a team on paper that has so much power, so much class in that batting lineup, shot out for just 86. Another massive confidence booster for India.
Well, Australia proved me wrong, didn't they? I mean, I was shouting from the rooftops since we started this World T20 hotspot 2 weeks ago that Australia going to win, Australia going to win, Australia going to win. Look at their lineup, Australia going to win. They proved me wrong in a spectacular fashion. To be very honest, I don't think India bowled that. I mean, India bowled well. They didn't bowl spectacularly well. I think one of the main reasons for Australia being shot out for 86 was because all of their batsmen are attacking batsmen. Sometimes you need somebody like a Hashim Amla or a Shoaib Malik or even a Rohit Sharma for that factor. Somebody who can hold one end up. And if you look at the Aussie lineup, there is nobody who does that. Maybe Aaron Finch to a certain degree, but he's the man in form. David Warner is not the one in form, so Aaron Finch is attacking, and David Warner is always attacking because that's his natural instinct. Shane Watson is not in form, but he's always attacking. Then you have Glenn Maxwell, who's in form, but he cannot win you every match. He's not won you any matches, but he can never. He's not the only one who's going to score always. George Bailey, then you're already 4 down, and you are looking at George Bailey to do to defend a bit, to do some counter attacking. Brad Haddon. It's very convoluted for the Aussies at the moment. I think they've just really really lost the plot. I don't think George Bailey will be continuing as Aussie T20 captain anymore. I think in the future, I think they will be looking at somebody new to lead. Um, Brad Hodge, for somebody like Brad Hodge to come and do his thing towards the end in the death overs, he needs a cushion of say 140 for 3, with 2 overs to go. He just needs to play those overs freely. But when he comes to the crease, he's struggling because he doesn't have enough runs on his back, doesn't have that momentum. The opposition is not deflated. So a lot of problems for Australia. I thought their bowling and fielding were much improved. They struck India early. Obviously, Yuvraj Singh came into the game early. He was there. He struck some big shots. That massive 6. I mean, did you see that 6? I mean, it didn't look like a shot of an out-of-form batsman, did it, John?
Not at all. No.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was a huge 6, and he just moved out. It reminded me of one of those 6s he hit of Stuart Broad in South Africa. It reminded everybody of.
Come back to England being beaten.
Well, no, that was just incidental. No, that was just incidental. But it was one of those just stepped out and just played it up, and it was a huge 6. Didn't really look like he's a batsman out of form, which is actually very good news for India, because he's the missing cog, the cog in this cycle. So I mean, you look at now the question mark for India will be whether they want to pick Ajinkya Rahane or Shikhar Dhawan. Ajinkya Rahane didn't really set the stage on fire, and Shikhar Dhawan is, MS Dhoni says a lot of times he's an explosive batsman. So probably he'll be back and Rahane will sit out. But the fact of the matter is that India are a more cohesive unit in the batting with their middle order firing. Dhoni also had some time. Raina had some time. Ashwin and Jadeja got some time. Obviously, they didn't hit a lot of runs, but they did get a lot of time in the middle. So that was good to see from an Indian point of view. But yes, the fielding has been sensational. They dropped a few catches in the first couple of games. They've been practicing under lights ever since, and it showed. They hit all of their catches, and all of them were really tall catches because the Aussies can really hit them hard and really hit them tall. So that was nice to see. And basically, India have been tested all around, and they're heading into the semis as tournament favourites, and they have a bit of advantage, and we'll be talking about it in later hotspot when we preview the 2 semi-finals, probably on Wednesday. We'll be talking about it and how the advantage will be with the teams that have played in Dhaka.
Absolutely, and yeah, important, I suppose, for India to have to bat first. We mentioned that before the game, even if it meant that MS Dhoni lost a toss for I think it was it first time in 13 or so he lost a toss, but it did mean they got to test themselves. And you mentioned an interesting point there about the fielding. I was just sort of thinking the two best fielding sides, certainly in the latter stages of the group, for me, India and South Africa, and therefore no coincidence, I suppose, that those two are the teams that have gone through so far.
Well, yes, I think in T20 cricket, fielding plays a very, very important role, and along with batting and bowling, of course. But it's I haven't really seen how South Africa have worked on their fielding, but I've been following India because they have been in Chittagong and I'm in Dhaka. But I can tell you that India have been practicing under lights, especially their fielding. They come to the for practice around 3 or 4 p.m. and just have a hit in the nets, and after 5:30 when the lights are on, they go in the field and they practice high catching, and it really showed, and it was something that I really picked up on. And I think they've worked hard. They've used the conditions. The conditions are just fine for their bowlers to perform. South Africa will have a challenge on their hands, and the Indian batsmen will have a challenge on their hands. And we'll probably discuss this a little bit more in detail in our next hotspot. But yes, I think no surprises there. The best two fielding sides so far are in the semi-finals. And I think the way it's shaping up, New Zealand and perhaps the West Indies, if I can say so, or Pakistan. I mean, it depends. Again, Pakistan and West Indies. I think the side that feels better will probably go through.
Okay, and the final game that we want to sort of look back on, maybe not so much me or more you, perhaps England, the Netherlands. I mean, the Netherlands, you've got to give them plenty of credit. They came out, they batted pretty well. They had a poor end to their innings, but England were very, very poor. I think it was 4 boundaries in their entire innings, 26 for 3 in the power play, and it never got any better than that. So I know that you've been sort of a little bit under the weather this morning. You were sort of half asleep, but keeping half an eye on it.
Yeah, I was. I mean, but my only comment on this will be that when Netherlands beat Ireland, everybody thought that the one team that Netherlands are going definitely to beat in Group 1 was England, and yeah, well, look what's happened. They have beaten England. So yeah, like I said earlier in our hotspot review, that's how you measure performance. That's how you measure improvement. Ever since they lost to Sri Lanka, they've improved. They've pushed South Africa, pushed New Zealand, pushed England, and they've got one victory, and they've run 2 other teams close. And mind you, these are all test-playing nations, and they've beaten Ireland in a stunning manner. I think they have been team of the tournament so far. Netherlands, obviously, they're not going to pick up any trophies for it, but I think we should all remember what sort of a tournament Netherlands have. And they're playing in the subcontinent, which are sort of conditions that they're not really accustomed to. I mean, they generally play in Europe, sometimes in Abu Dhabi, UAE for the qualifiers. But subcontinent pitches are even more slower than what you encounter in the Middle East. So they made some massive adjustments. They've played well in the qualifiers, and forget the qualifiers. I mean, England and Australia haven't really done justice to their test status. Bangladesh haven't really done justice to their test status, but at the same time, these are still test nations. I mean, I'm talking about from player capabilities, caliber of players, on paper at least. All test-playing nations, players who go for multi-million-dollar deals in the IPL and Big Bash, and every other league. Netherlands, you don't see Netherlands players. The one player they had was Ryan Tendulkar, and he was not there today or in this particular tournament. So you just have to wonder what sort of an achievement this is for Netherlands. And like I said, I think they are the team of the tournament.
Yeah, it's a massive achievement for them. Of course it is. They don't have the sort of player pool. They don't have the resources. Now they've lost one-day international status as well. So we're very interested to see how they progress from there. I mean, in our Saturday hangout, this was of course before the South Africa game. I mentioned that when I went down to the market, people were actually beginning to talk about England and playing cricket because they'd won a game. I can safely predict that there won't be much talk about cricket. And I sort of wander into town maybe this weekend. Chetan, just want to sort of finish
Well, the
really
Premier,
with.
yeah.
Do you want to come in on that?
Yeah, I just want to say the Premier League title is hotting up, and
Yeah,
Liverpool are on the top for the
yeah.
first time in what, 20 years. So nobody's going to talk about cricket for a long time now.
No, no. Maybe it's a good thing for the world, and we can forget about it until Sri Lanka and India are over here. Really, I just wanted to look ahead to tomorrow's games. I think I would imagine we're both going to predict Australia beating Bangladesh. I mean, as bad as Australia were yesterday, they should be far too good for Bangladesh. That's where I'm going as well. And also, which way are you going to call the West Indies-Pakistan game? I know you were sort of umming and ahhing a little bit earlier on, but I'm going to put you on the spot this time.
Are we sure, John, that Australia are going to beat Bangladesh? Uh, I'm not
I
sure
think they
Australia
will.
can beat Bangladesh. Yeah,
But
you think so,
no,
right? So
yeah,
okay, so you go for
I think
Australia.
they will. Yeah.
You go for Australia, and I'll go for Bangladesh this time because I want to see the crowd is so disappointed. Yeah, I want to see Bangladesh win. So and I mean, and Australia have really not done any favors because I predicted they would win the World T20, and look what they've done to me. And so you go with Australia, and I'll go with Bangladesh, and then we figure out what happens on Wednesday. So that's that. And uh, for the second game, like I said, it's a bit 50-50. But what the Australia game did was, you have to look at it that Pakistan were not challenged as such. The challenging game for them was the Australia game, and that was what 8 days ago. Yes, it always gets your juices flowing and everything, but you have to remember that their top order failed against Bangladesh. They had just one batsman scoring the bulk of their runs, and Bangladesh batting is not really very, very tough to handle, and they have a decent bowling lineup with Saeed Ajmal, Umar Gul firing, Sohail Tanveer playing, and the others just chipping in. So that was never going to be troublesome for them. So in that sense, Pakistan have not really been challenged. I wouldn't say that they're not in the group because it's always good to win, always good to get 2 points. West Indies, on the other hand, the Australia game really, really just turned a corner for them. I mean, the first game against India, they were, just came in, played, lost. They were happy. Bangladesh game again, they came in, they just play, they won. They were still happy. They're always happy. The Australia game, they were angry. They were happy and they were angry. And when West Indies get angry and they get that sort of a momentum going, it's very tough to stop them. And I was just thinking, hotspot today, if West Indies beat them, then they will play New Zealand in the semi-final. Going by what we're seeing here, just New Zealand just need 120 to win, or Sri Lanka, whatever. So if West Indies win that semi-final, because they've been playing in Dhaka, it could possibly be an India-West Indies final or an India-Pakistan final. So, anyways, I think I would place my money on West Indies tomorrow because they've had this pent-up energy released now, and they know their proper side has been unleashed. That I think Pakistan have a better bowling attack, so it could still be an equal attack. West Indies are the better batting, Pakistan are the better bowling. Both of them have been missing some catches, so it could probably be decided in the field. But I'll go with West Indies 60-40.
Okay, I think I agree with much of what you say there, Chetan, but I am going to stick with Pakistan. I went for them before the tournament even got underway, so obviously if I still think they're going to win the tournament, they have to win the game tomorrow. I mean, you raised the point that they maybe haven't been tested correct, but my counter argument to that would be, well, we said the same thing about India before they played Australia. Slightly different circumstances, I know, but I don't think that is necessarily going to stop Pakistan going on and beating the West Indies, but they are going to have to be on top of their game because the West Indies are looking very, very strong. They are showing improvement with each game. So really looking forward to the game. Hope it's a really entertaining clash, but I am going to plump for Pakistan, which means again we're on opposite sides of the fence for both of tomorrow's games. So I think that will. Sorry, did you want to jump in there? The final comment, Shedden, before we close?
Yeah, I mean, I was just wondering. We had talked about what sort of semi-finalists lineup. Both of us had never thought South Africa would be here. Well, Sri Lanka and New Zealand only one can progress. So quite interesting turn of events there. India, obviously, we were sure that India have qualified, and I'm gone with the West Indies, and I'm still going with the West Indies, and I thought you had gone with Pakistan.
Great stuff. Okay. Thanks, Chetan. Thank you for joining us once again from Dakar, and all the very best, and look forward to tomorrow's games. And,
Absolutely, look forward to joining for the semi-finals.
Great stuff. A little bit of a lag there with Chetan. Apologies for that. So that is all we're going to have time for on this hotspot. We'll be back in a couple of days to really round up the group stage and start to look ahead to those semi-finals, which are a little bit later on in the week. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye for now.